Well, we're gearing up for Easter, and we're getting some things in set in place as far as promo and such. But the big thing I wanted to pick your brain about was what are some strategic things that you have done? Do you encourage pastors and teams to do going into Easter, and then even what you're looking to to pull out of Easter so that you get some
Yeah.
traction with growth.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple things that I've found to be helpful. That's a great question. Several things that I found to be helpful is one, everybody's different, so I'm just going to give you what I found to be helpful. I really enjoy starting a series on Easter, not starting the next week. So that's just one little thing.
Mm.
I actually enjoy starting the series on Easter. I enjoy starting a series on Easter that I think is obviously you got to relating it to the resurrection. You're relating it to the narrative of resurrection, but you're starting something on that day. The other thing I enjoy is when you start it, and I'll give you an example in a minute. But when you start it, it's sort of like, hey man, I'm not asking you to join our church, but for the next 3 Sundays, this is what we're going to be talking about. And I get it. You might not want to join church, but our services are like literally our service is about an hour and 15 minutes long. So I think your life is worth a 3 hour investment, and we
Yeah, yeah.
kind of do it that way. Now, as an example, we might say, excuse me, as an example, we might say, hey, this, like one time I remember years ago, I did a series called Doors, and the whole concept was, about Jesus, that he was able to break down a door, and he can also break down the doors in our life. He walked through a door, and he can walk through the door in our life. That kind of was the concept. And crazy enough, it was probably one of our best ones. We gave out little keys on that Sunday, like old fashioned looking castle keys.
Nice.
And we said, put it on there, put it on your key ring, because the same power that was able to break down that door is the same tower it could break down whatever. And so we went right into like that whole Sunday morning was about, the same resurrection power that did this could do this, but it was always about like, what is that thing that needs to unlock in your life? That thing that you keep holding on to, that thing that you keep struggling with, that thing that, man, your marriage would be so much better. Your life would be so much better. We're going to find out what that thing is and deal with it. We literally we put up doors all across the auditorium, like freestanding doors, like with little frames, and people would walk through the door and get a key. And we just said, we want you to walk through the door and get a key. And they were set up all over the auditorium. We did another one, which is not real like, you've heard it before, but we did Scars. We did one called Scars. And so then that started on Sunday and just said, hey, he has scars, and he took scars so he could help us with our scars. And we all have scars. And aren't you tired of hanging on to that scar? And then we kind of went it and we kind of paraphrased the hurt, habit, and hang up. That scar has resulted in a hurt, in a habit, or a hang up that keeps robbing you. And you've been doing this for 38 years. But at some point, you got to deal with it. So on the doors, we gave out a little keychain and said, let that key remind you that for the next 3 Sundays, you'll be here. And if you don't want to come to our church after that, then so be it. Or we give, like I'm holding the wristband right now from our rescue initiatives we do. We do a rescue where we rescue churches. It says, I came to the rescue. So we'll give out a little wristband that might say Scars. And we're just saying for the next 3 Sundays, for the next 3 weeks, just wear this wristband to remind you to be at church and to remind you that for the first time, you're going on a 3-week adventure to try to deal with this scar, this hurt, this habit, this hang up, whatever the series is, for the first time in your life. So I think a lot of people promote a series for the following week. I say crush it on Easter morning with the series and get them committed to not join your church, but will you join us for the next couple Sundays? We think your marriage, your life, your personal life, your addiction, your hurt, your habit, your hang up, we think it's worth a couple hours of your life. And it works out really
Wow,
well.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then, depending on how many kids you have, I think it's always cool to look at that maybe that first 30 days after Easter? Like, is there something we could do with kids, and then 3 weeks later, something we could do special with adults separate from the series that would be pretty powerful? Like, what if we did a reptile Sunday or petting zoo Sunday, the Sunday after Easter, and then 2 weeks later, something really cool for the adults? Those are just some small little things that help to kind of gain a little traction coming out of Easter.
When you say something for the adults, for instance, what would that look like?
Oh, I don't know. If you have access to someone, if you have access to like some cool lunch trucks and some live band after church on a certain Sunday, if you have access to a guest that you could interview for 10 minutes, not speak, but interview for 10 minutes that people would actually care about. Some guy from, I don't know, whatever. Maybe it was on American Got Talent and came in 8th place. Something, one of those kind of guys. Something. If you have access to anything like that, people think they don't have access, but I disagree. I always think, man, if you ask around, you'll find out that you're 1 or 2 relationships away from getting somebody really great. And so stuff like that, here's the thing that I always think about when I do the 10-minute guess like that. I always think about like, not what does the church care about? What does the community care about? So, hey, we're having this great pastor. Well, the church likes that idea. But we're having this great former running back, or we're having this guy from America's Got Talent, or we're having this guy that was on that one chef show and came in 3rd place, and he put together a little clip and make it look cool, and he's coming to the church, and make it look like a little 30-second promo. Well, everybody cares about that. A church person's like, oh, that'd be cool to meet him. And an unchurched person will be, that'll cool to meet him. What it does is it gives your people a really easy way to invite people. And that's what you're looking for. So I would do something. I would start the series on Easter. The very next week, I would do something, part 2 of your series, but then something really cool for the kids. 2 weeks later, on the wrap up of your series, 1 more really cool things for adults. And just see if you can create a little bit of a habit from some people to come back and return and keep coming.
So